Bam, we're live. He ended up being on for like an hour and 22. I mean, not to any fault of his own. I think maybe he wanted to get off in 20 also, but we got going, and
That happens sometimes.
yeah, he's a good dude. I knew he'd be easy. He's a great guest. He knows how to talk. He knows how to give answers. He knows how to make himself vulnerable.
Well,
Like yourself, Mr. Friend. Like
I
yourself.
was gonna say, don't expect anything from me.
I want to start the show with a little theme that I think is going to become a theme of this show today.
I also wanted to start the show with something.
Oh, okay. You go ahead.
I know why we're both wearing blue today.
Oh, tell me.
It's a mourning for Argentina because they lost to Saudi Arabia in the World Cup this morning.
How did you know?
Yep, we're feeling bad for them.
What really did they really? That's amazing that Saudi Arabia has a good soccer team. To me,
I mean, they're ranked 51st in the world. They all play in a domestic league there in Saudi Arabia, but you have to think. I think about the World Cup like I think about the CrossFit Games. It's the one competition all year that every person or team that's qualified for it is showing up with nothing to lose and everything to fight for. And there's nothing easy in the World Cup. I coached a lot of soccer games, played in a lot of soccer games in my life, and I watched that game this morning. And Saudi Arabia had the perfect game plan, and the things broke their way that needed to. They took advantage of the scoring chances when they got them. And the last 30 minutes of the game, Argentina was desperate and confused and couldn't break through to get back into the game.
desperate and confused. My favorite kind of soccer team. I want to show you a professional website.
Is this the theme for today?
Yeah, I want to show you a professional. This is a professional website. Pfizer's website. Look how nice it is. Look at that artwork. Explore our science.
I feel like you could just strip away all the language and take that background and make it a painting in a nice home somewhere. Get a lot of comments from guests.
Yes, maybe at the Epstein Empire. Based on today's visit, how would you rate your site experience? Oh my God, that's so cool. I'm going to say a 7. God, it's so good.
Next 7 out of 7. It's interesting.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, look, and there's a whole survey here. It's awesome. I mean, this is a nice profession. Gene therapy, myth busting quiz. Ooh, I like that.
It's interesting to me, though. We had a long list of topics. This Pfizer's website wasn't on the list.
Equity in advanced prostate. I've never looked at this website. I just knew it would be professional. Equity in advanced prostate cancer begins with changing the conversation. Oh, that's so cool. Equity in my anus. That's all. I mean, this site is so professional. And I'm sure these are all authentic photos. Nothing staged. I mean,
what do you mean equity in my anus? Are they offering shots in the ass now too?
For everybody. Okay, now look at this is and this website's supposed to add to the quality of your life. This is a company that wants to add to the quality of life and help you save your life, I guess. I'm making that up. I haven't read that in any mission statement. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Here's our purpose. We're in the relentless pursuit of breakthrough that change patients' lives. We don't change, and they do that. Pfizer changes people's lives. That is for certain. We innovate every day to make the world a healthier place. I think that's probably just a blatant lie. It was Charles Pfizer's vision at the beginning, and it holds true today. I mean, there's ample evidence. Okay, now let me show you a site that's not professional. Absolutely not professional. Zero profession. This is the original. This is what it originally looked like on CrossFit.com. Those of you people who use the word professional, you woke jargon douchebags. No name calling, Sevan. You're just part of the problem. You're just using words. You don't even know what they mean. You don't even define words. When companies are more concerned about their brand than their product, if you want to call that professional, let me tell you what's professional. You think the NFL is professional? So then I would define a professional as sold out, soulless companies that are willing to peddle drugs to your kids and candy to your kids and junk to your kids as if it would make them better. Oh, and that's the irony. Isn't that amazing too? What's the VAERS website look like? The VAERS website's a complete clusterfuck. What a disaster. but still probably the most accurate measurement we have regarding vaccine health. The only fact is that it's underreported because doctors aren't paid to fill out the forms. They're mandated to fill them out, but they're not paid to fill them out. So that time is free. Anyway, this if you had to choose one site for your health, would you choose CrossFit.com or Pfizer? Would you choose the original I'll ask Brian. Brian, if you had to choose health for your family and yourself, and you needed one resource, would you use CrossFit.com with the game site, the journal, the affiliate map, the daily workouts, or would you choose the Pfizer website? Pfizer site's far more professional, brother. Far more professional. Careful what you choose here. I mean, they are really professional.
Trying to see if I stripped away the words from this one, if it would make a nice painting in my house or not.
Yeah, excellent point of. Well, here, let's see. We can click on some pictures. They offer this. Do you want that hanging in your living room?
Maybe like a before and after. It would be nice.
I would choose TikTok for medical advice. Me too. I would choose TikTok for medical advice before the Pfizer site too. It is such a joke. You got me really riled up with those articles you told me to read. We are going to have a blast today.
Me?
Yeah.
I told you to read articles?
The article, remember on Barbell Spin, you pointed it at me. I was like, hey, what's the show going to be about? And you gave me a whole laundry list of things that maybe I should read so we could talk about. Man, you got me fired up. Caleb, there is a website you should probably load now. It has a 30-second commercial in the beginning. Okay, you demand. You demand. Thank you, Caleb. Caleb, and you're back in the Sevan Podcast HQ.
Indeed.
Thank you. Okay, that's nice to see you there.
That bunker backs right up to the bookshelf behind you, Sevan.
That wall is just a facade. It separates us. And then over there behind this fake wall is Brian. Okay. Tia has it appears if you go to CrossFit Games to the link from the CrossFit Games video Down Under Championships top stories, it looks like CrossFit Games is reporting that Tia is injured and she does have a back injury. And God, maybe it's in the writing. If you scroll down a little bit, it's in the writing. Although Clair Toomey withdrew from the competition due to a back injury, God, that bums me out. It made me so sad to read that. And I saw it on Nate Edwardson's video, and I haven't heard it come out of her mouth. But I remember Annie hurting her back. Whenever athletes get injured, their back gets injured, I get so nervous for them. Or Danielle Brandon. And that's what's remarkable, that Annie came back from that. Do you have any insights on what's going on with her back? I'm scared to say. I'm guessing, and I have no proof of this, that it's like a bulging disc in her lower back or some shit.
I have no idea. I've spoken to no one who would have any more of an idea than I would about it, and I'm not too worried about it. I mean, I know it's kind of sucks to say, but I lost interest in Tia with the thing she pulled at the last day of the games last year. If she comes back next year, I'll consider her just like any other athlete. She said she had a back injury during the game, so maybe we didn't see her at her best. Thought she might be done. Looks like she's coming back. Thought we might see her in Australia. Didn't get to see her compete. I actually think that was good for the competition, the women's team competition, that they didn't compete. So I'm not really worried about Tia.
Unbiased perspective from Brian Friend, although it's sacrilege. Tia, you and Brian and I differ on that. I do think that maybe you should think about the shoes you're wearing, and that maybe those noble junk cardboard shoes possibly could be at the root of your
more barefoot training, less back problems.
Yeah. Brian calls BS on retirement. I don't know if he did that. I just don't think he liked the fact that it was that maybe there was some miscommunication. No, that there was miscommunication.
No, that there was clear communication that ended up being false.
Yeah, he doesn't like that. Brian stands Brian, would you say you stand very loyal to the commentators? You have a proximity bias.
In this regard, in particular with Sean, yeah, 1,000%. He would not have done that absent certainty. And where is he going to get certainty from?
I would like to, although I don't necessarily disagree with Brian, I would also like to offer any athletes who would like to announce their retirement whether it be true or false, are welcome always on the Sevan Podcast. Please, I'm
far more
open.
encouraged to do it here. And in fact, you know what? Come on and do it, and then come on a month later and unretire.
Yes.
Re-retire, just keep coming back.
Yes. We also have this news about the great Tia Toomey. It's a Channel 5.
Reason why let me just say, the reason why it's so sad is because her winning that championship was historic. And so the call is historic. So why would you give information to the person who's going to make the call about one of the biggest moments in your career that's inaccurate? If you're not sure, don't tell him anything. Just let him do what he's always done, which is make great calls. He spends like the whole week he's thinking and talking and preparing. He'll wake up in the middle of the night and make notes about these calls that might happen, that are likely to happen. He pours so much into that. He changed everything on the last day, in the last hour, in the last minutes, because of information he was given, confirmed through CrossFit, confirmed through her coach, her team, and everyone who he asked about it. So it's a bummer for her too.
And that is the final word on that topic. Well, probably not. Caleb, can you pull up this? This is an interview Miss Tia Toomey did with Channel 5 News. By the way, in the Hiller comments, people are, because he made that funny video about her, people are referring to her as maybe being a stoner or not intelligent or whatever. That's further from the truth. I watched this whole video. She's better than the news guy. I mean, I like the news guy. He's cool, but she is good. And
much to her credit, the improvement, as it happens with many athletes, from 2015-16 interview Tia to 2021-22 is night and day. You see her confidence, her personality comes out a lot more. So huge evolution of her in that regard over the her career also.
I concur. Okay, let's play 7 seconds of this, and then we'll skip to 3:35.
Try and cover absolutely everything.
Yeah, but the plan is to defend it, so you're going for 7 straight.
Yeah, that's the plan,
Okay, so that's the plan.
Skip 7 seconds ahead,
and then we'll go to 3:35, and here's the plan.
And then next year the season starts around February, and it's basically getting ready and prepared for the 2023 season.
For you, diet is.
I love it, and I hope she smashes the competition like usual. I'm excited to see her compete. And end of story. I'm excited to see her come on the show too. What do you think the chances of that are?
Never know.
Okay. Down Under Championship just happened. It looked like a good competition. They probably should have paid us our going rate of free to stream the show and to cover it. I think we could have done them wonders based on the numbers that I saw. I do think that it was nice seeing Annie Sakamoto and that other older buff guy,
Jeremy Austin.
Austin. I liked it when the first day he kind of looked like a schlep, and the second day he put on the tank top. He was looking like a stud. Him and Annie. I watched the recap day 1, 2, and 3, and it's cool. I'm really happy that Maddie Sturt won, looking strong, beautiful, happy, just like I always remember her. Also, Jay Crouch won, her boyfriend. That's super cool. Any thoughts on those two? Were they supposed to win, Brian?
Yes, for sure. Given the field of athletes competing in the individual division, and I know you might look and see someone like Lauren Fisher, or you might look and see someone like Caitlin Van Zyl, who's had a success in the team competition the last 2 years. But no, given the field that was lining up for individuals, if Jay and Maddie had not won, it would have been a disappointment. Anything other than winning would have been a disappointment for them. They were, in my opinion, clearly the class of those divisions, and they did what they were meant to do. Keep in mind, even though they both have a lot of experience, they're both very young, as were a lot of the people from Australia, New Zealand, and that part of the world that competed in this competition as individuals. And that's how I view this competition in terms of the individual, is that it's an opportunity for the young and up and coming competitive CrossFitters to get a little touch point in the off season. Most of the people that you see in the top 10 here also competed in the Torium Pro in the semifinals and had a variety of results there. And we've seen some of them make some big improvements. Jake Douglas, if you don't know who Jake Douglas is, he was actually 5th. A lot of people were talking about Bailey Martin, who finished 6th at Torium Pro last year. Jake was 1 spot ahead of him. He's very, very good. And, we'll see how many spots they get and who competes. The problem is it's really competitive to get the game spots. So it's nice to have a showcase event like this for the Australians in the off season, where they can kind of shine out. Peter Ellis was 3rd on the men's. He was 20th at semifinals last year. He's a 20-year-old kid that's up and coming in that region. Zeke Grove is an old throwback name, and that's the other thing that you get in a competition like this is a chance for people who maybe aren't contending for game spots anymore, but are still, 28, 30, 32 years old and have a high level of fitness to get a high-level competition close to home in their home country and have a chance to compete. So you get a little bit of everything there with the men's division. And the women's division was less well represented for a variety of reasons, but Emma Hawk, 23-year-old top 10 finisher in semifinals last year. Georgia Pryor, same thing. She might be even younger. I think she finished 10th at the Torium Pro. Christina Livitakis actually is from Zimbabwe. I don't know why they had an Australian flag by her name in the but she was 2nd place in the Fittest in Cape Town last year at semifinals. So these are some people that are like knocking on the door, last chance qualifier type athletes from their parts of the world. And this is I think is a great opportunity for them to compete in the off season.
A Greek girl from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I guess.
Interesting. I'd be curious to hear that backstory. I bet you it's pretty exciting. Hey, is the Down Under how long has that competition been around, and where do you place it? Where do you place it with like the big guys, Wadapalooza, Rogue, Dubai? Hey, is that even fit? Are Rogue and Wadapalooza and Dubai really all on the same level?
No, I don't think so anymore. But to your original question, so if Patrick Clark wrote the preview on Bar Bend for the Down Under CrossFit Championship, we had an opportunity to talk to Rob Forte about it. Rob Forte was a programmer. He's one of the new owners for this competition. I believe if you read through the article that he's got some quotes in there, and they basically are considering it their first year under the new leadership, but I think it's their 3rd year having that competition, but maybe over a 4-year or 5-year period of time because of COVID, preventing them from having live events for a year or 2.
Crowd at the event looked bigger than any event, typical Australian fashion. I didn't, take a head count, but the crowd looked massive. The crowd looked bigger than any of the semifinals, regional, sanctional shit that I saw. Not bigger than Torium Pro, right? Well, I mean, based on in the United States.
Oh yes, yeah, and that's how it is. Australia for these big events, they do. I think I saw somewhere 4,000 plus in attendance each day. I think they had an offsite event also, but every time that they were in the stadium there.
You're saying there were 4,000 people at the Down Under competition?
Yeah, and I think that Torium Pro sold out their 5,000 seats and then some well before the competition even began.
Wow, who's that?
Not sure.
Jeez Louise.
Ben Watson, is that? No, that's a photographer. Can we scroll up and see who that is? Oh, it's Jake Douglas. Oh, nice. He's the guy who got 2nd place.
What a hoss.
Yeah.
Who's that?
I'm not sure.
It's irrelevant. It's
not irrelevant, but I don't know. And these could be team pictures. Like that's a team picture there.
I know who that was. That was Ricky Garrett.
Yeah.
The Down Under strength of field was roughly 35% of games, meaning games athletes, compared to Zealous. Oh, wait. The Down Under strength of field was roughly 35%. What's that mean? Compared to Go ahead.
He's using some metrics that he's created to assess the strength of the field.
Oh, okay. The Down Under strength of field was roughly 35% of the games compared to Zealous 70% and Syndicate 80%. It leaves a lot wanting, but still nice to get the Aussies on the floor. Well, so he's saying that the athletes at Zealous were better and the athletes at the Syndicate were even better than them. But man, nothing beats a big crowd.
No, and I would disagree. I mean, this is obviously great to say. I would say it doesn't leave a lot of wanting. This is a competition for that part of the world. It's mostly there's a couple celebrities that have come in, big name people with big followings, but almost everyone there is competing from Australia or Oceania, which is the point of the competition, I think. And so I would wonder, maybe if we could do the strength of the field of the Down Under Championship compared to the strength, 100% being the strength of the field if we had all of the Australians competing. It's like, were we getting 70% of the top, of the best people in Australia and Oceania at this competition, and not necessarily stacking it up to a competition that's entirely made up of North American athletes.
Damian Castro, Maddie Sturt is hot as fuck. Way to add to the conversation. Did I say that?
I don't know if that was about Maddie or Jay.
Did I say that? Hot as fuck?
Probably not. Now you've said it twice.
Yeah, she is hot as fuck. I mean, if I didn't say it, I need to say it.
Aren't they both, though?
Extremely. Yeah, his body looks great right there. Whoever took that photo nailed it.
I thought they both looked really, really good coming into this competition. Yeah.
She looks strong.
She's been working on it. She needs to. That's the one area that she's kind of fallen behind at times. So that's good. And I mean, again, they've been around for a while, but they're both under 25. Like they're not even getting into what we consider the prime of their career age-wise.
I wonder what the toll is on her that she went to the games twice, and then how many times has she missed the games now? Once?
I think she went 4 times, and then she missed twice since then. I think she made it 17, 18, 19, 20.
And the fact that she's still pushing is really, I think, a testament to her character. Brian, were there any new athletes here? You know how at Rogue we saw Olivia Kerstetter making her sort of debut at 16?
Sorry, 16, 17, 18, 19. She made it. Career best finish of 20th in 2018. Hasn't made it for 3 years since.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. But you're saying that she's not in her prime. You're saying that she can still get better.
Yeah, I'm also
Or she might be in her prime, but she can still get better.
I'm also saying that in 2018, she finished 20th. And if you just scan the field of athletes ahead of her, you have 11th, Jamie Green, 4th that year, Cara Saunders, 1st that year, Clair Toomey. And Maddie Sturt was like 19 years old or something at this point. And they have 4 in the top 20. And they were getting 5 people to the games that year. And then 3 years later, they're only getting 3 spots. So they've already have 4 of the best 20 in the world in 2018, and since then have gotten less and less spots available to go.
That can't be right. That would be fucking stupid.
That's exactly what's happened, and that's what I've been saying since then.
Jethro Cardona, how is this podcast stuck at 19,900? I don't like to use the word stuck, but hey, we're so banned already on Apple and Spotify. It's crazy. It's so crazy what we're seeing and what the screenshots people are sending me. People only subscribe to the Sevan Podcast, and yet they can't on their list of 10 recommended podcasts. It's at the bottom. So it's ridiculous. And any athletes debuting there, Brian, for the first time that were like, okay, this is a future contender. Holy cow. And is it?
I would say probably no that I know of, but that the guy who finished 3rd, Peter Ellis, I mean, going from 20th in the semifinals to 3rd in this competition, the way he did it makes me, think, okay, he's a guy to watch. Like, he's clearly making big strides, especially when you see that he's able to get an event win, that he's fairly strong at a young age, and he's doing pretty well. And then I just start to wonder, or maybe the programming just was really good for him. And what could that mean? And so I look at the programming and I say, well, event 1 is snatching. Event 2 is nasty girls, pistols, muscle ups, hang cleans. So you got 2, kind of gymnastics dominate, or you got a light snatch, gymnastics dominate workout. If you go through the rest of the weekend, you have strict handstand push-ups and chest to bars in this regional 17-1. So that's another high volume gymnastics. You have a snatch ladder. So they're snatching again. And you look at another one, they have overhead squats. So now there's overhead position stability. Again, that's 3 out of 6 workouts with snatch, overhead squat. And then you have legless rope climb and thrusters. So I basically think everything this guy's great at, which is lightweight barbell cycling and high skill gymnastics, just popped up. And this position, overhead position, just popped up every single workout for him. And he was able to capitalize on a great programming. That's my guess. I don't know I think he can be good in the future, but he certainly caught my eye this weekend either way.
You were breaking up when you said his name. Say his name again.
Peter Ellis.
Peter Ellis. I would put hot as fuck over calling something professional as being more descriptive any day.
Would you say Pfizer's website is hot as fuck?
Yeah, I would say it's hot as fuck. Yes,
Yeah.
It is hot as fuck. I mean, especially compared to that old CrossFit.com one.
No, but that's raw. That's just raw.
But in terms of functionality, I would say that hot as fuck does not change my opinion on functionality. The CrossFit.com website was far more functional. Okay. Well, anyway, if professionality has nothing to do with honesty, then Pfizer's is more professional. What's Lauren Fisher doing? Is she even a contender? Why does she fly? Is she still potential? Do you think she'll ever make it to the games as an individual?
No. What's she doing? She's traveling the world and competing and having fun while she can. You know, she's built a nice platform for herself by having success early in her career. She's competed in teams. She's done it as an individual. She's, moved. She had a chance to live in Iceland and train and compete last year. I think she's just taking advantages of opportunities from sponsors and fans as a result of her fitness. I think she's living a great life. I don't know if she's going to a competition like this and she's more excited to just be there and competing in a new environment, or if she's trying to win and she'll look at whatever she finished 5th place or something like that as a disappointment. I would be surprised if it was the second one. I'm sure she's doing her best, but I think there's a lot of other things going on for Lauren that are very positive.
Scroll back the other way and click that pipture of her and her boyfriend, Rasmus, or husband.
Yep, husband. They got married, I believe,
in
Greece.
He looks like James Lipson, Dave Lipson before he got juiced up. Did you see that picture? Oh, okay. Maybe just look at the pic. Yeah, look at him.
Get him on the Thunder Bro.
Yeah, it's Dave Lipson before he got all juiced up. Wow.
Get him on Thunder Bro Pro. That's the stuff that they don't advertise online.
What a handsome man, Mr. Rasmus. Okay. So, and when you say she's built a beautiful a platform or a great platform, you're saying that basically on Instagram she has over 1 million followers, and so she's still out there getting at it. And
yeah, I mean, she's got a great network of sponsors. She's a very marketable, attractive young woman who had some success in the fitness space and has taken every advantage of it in terms of not just competition but monetizing it and making herself well known around the world. You go to a competition in Australia, we already talked about it. The fans show up there. And so she's got a whole new group of people that are following and supporting and loving her now.
Awesome. I love it. Well done. Daniel Chafee, the head of affiliates from Europe, was there. Gary Gaines, the head of affiliates worldwide, was there. And our favorite CEO, Don Fall, was also in attendance. I don't know if they were there all 3 days, but in the recap of the 3rd day, it does mention that they were there. So that's interesting. That's all I've heard. I haven't heard any feedback about their trip. The Dubai Championship. Okay, first I want you to tell me the tier of events
for the off season, or including the
everything. Show me that give me that pyramid.
Okay, to me it's not so much a pyramid. Have you ever been to the Sears Tower here in Chicago?
I have.
Where you get to the top and there's this spire that just goes up for another 20 stories that they don't measure. It's kind of like that. There's the games. There's Rogue. There's Wadapalooza. There's Dubai. And then you get to a tier, I would say. So those are still the top ones, but I don't think any one of them is on par with the other at this point. I think there's distinct differences between each of those 4 in that order.
Outside of the level of competition at those, when I think of the games, I think of it as a pretty big community event. There's just shitloads of people there from all walks of life in CrossFit, right? From the person who's never been, who wants to go. Same with Wadapalooza. When I think of the Rogue Invitational, I think of there being 995 fans there and 1,000 influencers. Got it. That's such a disgusting word. I think of it as more like
1-to-1.
I don't get that impression that it's even 1-to-1. I get the impression that there's this group of people who goes to events who wants to be seen at them. And I just get the feeling that Rogue is its own really weird beast outside of the competition. I could be totally wrong, but that's the impression I get. Look, there's Brian Friend. Look, there's Annie Sakamoto.
Well, it's a very intimate setting. So if you go there as a fan, not only will you get to see all the athletes compete, but yes, there's a lot more accessibility to people like that. They're
Look, there's
walking
Dusty
around.
Highland. Who's that? Oh, old affiliate owner, Masters athlete.
I didn't see him there. Was he there?
No, I don't know. But I'm just saying it's like, I just get the impression Rogue just seemed kind of, the crowd seemed that there were more people there who wanted to. It's just weird when there's more people there who want to be seen at an event that are there than that are there for the event. And I just get that impression about Rogue. Like it's more like the Academy Awards than
Decent analogy.
than going to a movie. There's a chance if you go see a movie in Chicago, you might see Brian is sitting there with you.
No,
you don't go to movies.
I go at the 11 a.m. matinee where no one's there.
Well, ooh, it's creepy. What's
Only when I have the mustache, though.
What's the etiquette in your area about talking in the movie theater? I just picture in Chicago.
I honestly haven't been to a movie theater in a couple of years.
Okay.
Maybe, and even before then, I might go once a year. But I would assume there's not any talking in the movie theater.
Those events, based on the nuances in the depth that we're in the sport, it's almost hard to compare them, right? I mean, it's clear the games is kind of its own thing, but it is really hard to compare, isn't it? Because the crowd is so huge at Wadapalooza and in such a different environment than maybe Dubai or Rogue. And Rogue is clearly way different than either of those.
I think it's pretty easy to compare them. I mean, we could talk about the caliber of the field, the size of the crowd, the distinctness of location, the intent of the competition. There's a variety of different ways we could compare them.
Hey, does Rogue have a vendor village?
Yeah.
Does Dubai have a vendor village?
It's smaller, but yeah.
Yeah. And Wadapalooza has vendors
Massive.
all over the place. Yeah. I like the way I like vendor villages, but I really like the idea of the way Wadapalooza does it, just having them just scattered all over. So it's kind of like
almost
like
surrounding of competition. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a Shakespearean festival?
I don't think so.
They're really cool. They're like a country fair kind of. There's just stuff everywhere. There'll be a theater here, a small theater here, a small theater here. People walking through the crowds, juggling and shit. Like games you can play. It's just really spread out, and that's kind of how I picture Wadapalooza. I feel like I've been to Wadapalooza. Oh, I have been to Wadapalooza. Okay, I went there once, kind of. Okay, Dubai Championships. That is the next big event that will be popping up on the radar, coming to us in December.
Yeah, I'm flying out November 30th, arriving the 1st, and I think competition starts the 2nd. So early December this year, a couple of weeks earlier than it usually is held. Obviously, also in that part of the world right now, the World Cup is going on, so I'm not sure if that played a factor in them wanting to move up a couple of weeks, but I think it's December 2nd through 4th.
Oh, this is important. The Sevan Podcast Wadapalooza gear drops tomorrow. Don't sleep on it. Well, that's great. And how long are you staying for? From the first, you leave on the November 30th. You finish commentating on December 3rd, December 4th.
4th, I believe. And I fly back the 5th. I'm not sticking around.
How come?
I usually don't anymore. I used to maybe stay another day or something and check some places out. But with the number of trips I do now and days I take off, I usually just try to keep it pretty tight to miss as little work here as I can.
I do want to say this about Jedediah Snelson, what he says. Dubai and the Wheel Wad Games. I suspect, and I don't know, I'll be interested in what you think about the Masters, but this Wheel Wad Games, I believe, is more premier than the CrossFit Games by far. That the winner, and it's kind of weird to say that, but I think the winner of these events at the Wheel Wads can get more respect from the analysts than the winners of the CrossFit Games. Do you have any thoughts on that, Brian? That it's a more prestigious event, tougher competition?
I don't know how to answer that.
Okay.
I feel like it's very different. More respect compared to more coverage. What is prestige?
I think that you could say that the winner of that event is the fittest guy, missing a limb from his elbow to his hand, than at the CrossFit Games.
You mean then the adapted divisions at the games? Or
yes.
Then
Yes. Sorry. Then the No, not then Justin. Sorry, adaptive class. You guys are.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. To that, I think that it was nice and important that CrossFit incorporated the adaptive divisions into their season 2 years ago. But in my opinion, they're still figuring that out, and they're not doing it as well as some of the competitions like Wheel Wad and even Wadapalooza, Wadsalona in Barcelona over there in Spain that have more opportunity for adaptive athletes to compete at a premier event. Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you were comparing it to the
No.
individual divisions.
No one can compare to Justin and Tia. They sit alone. Wherever they go, they would make that the premier competition. Let me ask you this. What about Masters? They have that thing called the Masters Collective where you ran into Sean Ramirez, and then we were able to get him on the show. But is that one versus the Masters at the Games versus this thing that's about to go down at Mayhem? I think it's called the Legends.
Yeah, so Masters Fitness Collective is the first one you were referencing. The Masters Legends Championship is the one that's happening the week after Wadapalooza in Cookeville, Tennessee. And then there's obviously the Masters divisions at the Games. They also have a lot of Masters divisions and always have at Wadapalooza. And even in Down Under they have. So Masters divisions show up all over the place. I actually thought the Masters divisions at Down Under were interesting because they had like 41 to 47 and then 48 to 54. So they split up those age ranges a little bit different. I was kind of curious. I think that the Games is still the premier for the Masters. Been around the longest. Those other two popped up during this season, 2020 season, that CrossFit had to cancel the Masters divisions along with the team and teenage divisions as an opportunity for them to compete. You know, the Pit Teen Throwdown also popped up that year in more relevance and created the opportunity for teenagers who'd been prepping for the Games to compete in an event and have a champion for that season. It didn't necessarily last in the same capacity as these other ones. The guys from Masters Fitness Collective had no intention of doing a year 2 or a year 3, but it was very well received and went well. And so they just continued to go with it. And then they're going to go with it again next year. I think the Masters Legends Championship is pretty cool in the regard that you can qualify in a variety of different ways. There's these competitions that host qualifier events, and then there's also an online qualifier, I believe, so the idea there is somewhat of the nature of a semifinal, but for Masters, where you actually have live competitions around the world or different parts of the country, and then you'll select the top competitors there based on the turnout. So it's not a guaranteed 1, 2, or 3 spots. It could be up to 5 spots, depending on how many people compete in each division at each one of those qualifiers. So I think that they're all good opportunities. It's, we talk about it with the elite individuals, like how many times a year can you realistically compete? And then you extrapolate that to the Masters division.
And you divide that by 10 if you're a Masters.
Right, where it's less. So you're going to, if you're asking for a Masters athlete who's good enough to compete in these things, to compete at the Games and the Masters Fitness Championship and the Legends, that's a lot. There's a lot of competitions in a small amount of time. And what's their next season going to look like? So what we get here is it's a huge population of people. And you might see some that make a run at the Games and take the off season off, which means there's others that might not make it or just barely miss out. And they'll have a chance to do well in either the Legends or the Masters Fitness Collective.
Do you know if Sean Ramirez is going to the Legends event in Cookeville?
I don't know. I don't think he's competing. I think he missed the qualifiers for that, but he could be there hanging out. I'm not sure.
Okay. Lana Marcin says Legends at Mayhem, December 8th through the 11th. There's going to be quite an interesting rivalry between Jason Grubb and Sean Ramirez. Sean Ramirez won the CrossFit Games either 4 or 5 times.
4 times, took second to Neil Maddox, and that year he also failed his drug test.
Okay. And Jason Grubb has been just cleaning house. And it's kind of interesting because I also see it as a guy who is a lifelong athlete in Sean Ramirez and kind of just your regular guy, Jason Grubb, who found CrossFit and embraced it. And that is something. Savage. Yeah, he is a savage. We're going to have to watch that this year at the Games. It's maybe it's more interesting than even when Hobart competed. I'm pretty sorry, James. I'm pretty darn pumped. Jamie Latimer said something here. I hope Sevan has me on with Jason Grubb. I think we can make that happen. Okay, back to Dubai. So you're going to Dubai. No invites this year, all qualifier. What are the implications of that, if any?
probably less star-studded field than you'd get otherwise. And, I had talked about that I really liked Rogue's hybrid approach this year. They brought 15 from the games. They left 5 spots open. In the women's side, none of the 5 qualifiers managed to finish in the top 10. And the men's side, Chandler Smith took 2nd overall. And just on the outside chance that something like that could happen, I love the idea of leaving 5 spots for the qualifier. The highest finisher for the women at Rogue was Manuel Angonis. We know she had a little bit of a mishap with time zones and video submissions during quarterfinals. This is another opportunity for her to make it there. I think that maybe Dubai could have done something like, because they like to honor history and loyalty and tradition. Maybe they say, okay, we'll invite the top 5 finishers from our event last year, something like that. And our qualifier will open up 15 spots. So you're still taking a majority of the field, but you have an opportunity to at least extend an invite to Laura Horvat, Gabby Magawa, Roman Krennikov, and see if some of these might show up. Lazar Djukic was 2nd last year. He still did the qualifier, qualified and will be coming. But a guy like Lazar Djukic, 2 times top 10 at the games, competed at Rogue, got a little injury there. I don't see the need for him to do the online qualifier to make it to Dubai. Like, he was 2nd place there last year. He was 8th and 9th at the games the last 2 years. He's going to compete at Rogue. Just give him an invite and let him come compete if he wants. So that's how I feel about it in general. Maybe there could be a little hybrid model there, but they're going back to their roots. They used to only have qualifiers pre-2016. Everyone had to qualify. And before 2016, you were still getting people that were winning that event, like Annie Thorsdottir and Jamie Green on the women's side, like Noah Olsen and Frederica Gideus on the men's side. So there were good athletes that were coming through the qualifiers back, if you go back historically as well.
What did Fikowski place at the games last year?
16th.
And what did Lazar Djukic finish?
8th.
Now, I want to read this to you. I want to read this to you. Back the other way. I don't know who the author of this article is. Back the other way to Lazar Djukic. Is this your article, Brian?
Yeah, this should be good.
Yeah, well, this is some biased shit in here. The biggest threat to Fikowski is likely Lazar Djukic. No. Let me. Next time, send me the article before you guys publish. The biggest threat to Lazar Djukic is Fikowski. Fikowski shit the bed last year at the games, showing us that he is a waning star in the field of formerly great athletes and the tide has turned for many, including Fikowski. This will probably be his last run at a major event with peace and love. Good luck, Andrew Fikowski. What's his first name?
We do need a third writer on the team at Barbara. That was pretty good. I'll submit your name.
What? Let me see Fikowski's first name. I'm having a senior moment. Scroll the other way. Brian's not going to tell me. He thinks it's insulting to him. Brent Fikowski. Look, I'm faster. Beaver's faster than you guys are in the comments. Thank you, Jessica.
Brent Fikowski does amazing in
Defend
these style of
boyfriend.
events. Incredible in these style of events. I believe, I don't have everything in front, but I believe he won his regional the last 4 years that they existed. And what I mean by these style events is 3-day, 6 to 9 workouts. That style of competition. In his sanctionals career, he had first place in Asia CrossFit Championships, second place in the Granite Games at Travis Mayer, first place in Dubai in 2019, which I reference here, where he beat Vellner and Krennikov, who beat the rest of the field by over 100 points, which was BKG, Lazar Djukic, Jona Koski, etc. And he's been in Egypt, where he just won a competition there, which is nice for him. And he's going to stay over there. I think it's a huge advantage for him that he's already acclimated to that time zone, spending a month there. Yeah, he already did that competition, but I think he'll be just fine and is still the favorite to win this thing. Especially because Lazar did take last place at Rogue and got an unfortunate injury there. If he'd had a clean run at Rogue, no injury, finished 8th, which I think is maybe the best he could have done given those workouts, yeah, maybe I would consider Lazar the favorite coming in. But given everything, I'm going to go with Brent as a favorite.
What and the fact that you know the workouts. Is Lazar but what happened to Lazar at Rogue? I can't remember what his injury was. I do remember though it gimped him.
Checks his trail, the first run to offsite event. I think he rolled his ankle to the inside. And I'm not sure. It was either a really, it didn't seem like it was a ligament. So it might have been a small stress fracture. It was sensitive to touch. I know he was struggling with lunging, going up that hill, some of the box jumps. Like there were, so it's not that long ago. Like this competition's come up. He's training in Serbia. It looks like he's fine, but it's just in the back of my head is like not something that you want to have going into this kind of competition where, yes, he's going there definitely expecting to win.
Yeah, I think when will you come to terms with the fact that Fikowski is on the back half of his career?
No, he's definitely on the back half of his career.
Sorry, back 1/15 of his career. Sorry, back 1/15 of his career.
He won semifinals last year at the Granite Games. Yeah, he didn't have a great showing at the games, his worst live performance at the games ever. If that happens again this year, I'll say it's over for him. But I still think it's possible to have a top 7 game finish.
Will Plummer, that's known as a medial ankle sprain. Well, thank you. Did you see any of the footage of Fikowski competing at this event in Egypt?
Very minorly.
Any sign of injury? I feel like the last 2 times we've seen him at the game, something's wrong. I don't know what, but maybe like his hip or something seems not up to par.
Well, the one thing, Brent never uses that as an excuse.
Sure.
In 2021, it seemed like he had either a hamstring or a groin thing, and he still finished 3rd. Some people think he might have won absent of whatever was bothering him there, but he's never, as far as I know, gone and said that publicly. He competed the best he could given the circumstances and took 3rd. Last year, I don't know if anything was wrong with him or not, but I know his mindset coming out of that season was, okay, there's some holes in my game that I need to address, and he's been working on those.
Speaking of beautiful bodies, man, he is a specimen. Brent is going to spank them, but I agree with Sevan and go as far as to say he would be lucky to be on the top 20 next year.
Wow. Okay.
Tough call.
Tough, but it is tough though. The men's field is getting to be so difficult. So there are definitely 20 guys out there that are phenomenal.
More on Dubai. Any athletes debuting there that we'll be seeing for the first time that we should be watching? Like, okay, this athlete is an athlete we've never seen in the games field, but hey, look at this guy. They're going to show up at Dubai. We're going to see them get tested against some of the fittest in the world.
A lot of guys, men and women, that could make a breakthrough. And it's difficult to maybe select the 1 or 2 that's going to do it. I mean, look, there are some people that you've heard of, like Guillaume Briant and Moritz Fiebig, that made the games, but we didn't get to see a ton of them at the games. And even at semifinals, they're getting overshadowed by some other storylines. So one of the groups of people you could look at are guys like that maybe this is an opportunity for, Guillaume Briant, 26 at the games, a very good showing in his rookie appearance. But how much do you remember about him competing there?
He was the swimmer. I think did he win the swim event?
He didn't win it, but he is a swimmer.
Yeah, okay. That's all I remember about him. That
he wasn't good enough on the ski. I think he took 11th or something on that event.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But if it's just a pure swimming event, he's probably 3rd, maybe 4th, Anyway, if, maybe a guy like this has an opportunity to be more in the spotlight and make I'm not just a guy who can face 26 of the games. I can take 5th in Dubai. I mean, if he's in the top heat of Dubai, maybe wins an event, has some good showings, has a little battle with Brent or Lazar or Yona in one workout, we might have a much better picture and understanding of who Guillaume Briant is. Going further down the leaderboard to people that are like even less well known and more likely to come out of nowhere, I would look at a guy like maybe either Victor Hofer or Vladimir Sechin. So Victor Hofer is a young French kid. He was 19 or 20 now. He was competing on a team, CrossFit Grillen, in Lowlands. He's got a gymnastics background. He's insanely good at gymnastics. He's been lifting a lot. He's been growing his hair out. And, if you read the Bible, that means you're getting stronger.
I understand.
Yeah. So Victor Hofer, young French kid to look at and see. We'll see if his strength, aerobic capacity, et cetera, can come up to par with his gymnastics. And like I said, he's super young. I think he has a good future, or at least a good opportunity for a good future in this sport.
Oh, I see a little Enrico Zanoni in him, in that body. A little bit of
similar body build. Yeah, just a few years younger.
Or Nicholas Joyal. I see a little bit of Nicholas Joyal, like that model look coming out.
Yeah. So nice young kid, hardworking kid. I'm excited for him because he went team last year. He wants to eventually compete as an individual. So this is a really good environment for him to have a chance to do that. Let's kind of see where he's at.
Hey, this kid's not. What is it? What do I see in his body? Why he's the skinny kid that got buff, right? This kid's not strong.
He's getting strong. I think I don't know if it was on a story or a post, but he recently was posting a heavy split jerk, I think, off the blocks that looked pretty impressive. I think it might have been on his story.
He could be James Sprague's little brother.
Similar age. Yeah, not quite as tall. But like if a workout shows up that's really gymnastics dense, he can do very well in it. And like I said, he's been trying to get stronger. So I'm hopeful that there's also some strength tests where he can answer those questions for himself in competition. Because it's one thing to be in the gym and say, yeah, my numbers are improving. But when you have to do it in a competitive environment, limited number of lifts on a strength test, or, Dubai also often has like a short sprinty barbell cycling workout where the weights are like, you think you could do it, but you're just not sure. So those types of events, if he gets one or two of those, would be nice for him as a little checkpoint to see, is my strength training actually paying off in competition? The other guy I mentioned is Vladimir Sechin, I didn't really know anything about him. He's from Russia. And I reached out to him like I did all the athletes. And I personally am excited for this guy. He gave me a lot of information, and his summary was, I was built for CrossFit.
Does he speak English?
I don't know. I mean, he responded in English, but who knows if that's a translator or what. So we'll get to meet him next week.
We need a Russian that speaks English so we can.
Yeah.
Sorry for being so biased. Or we need a podcast host that speaks Russian. Prize money at Dubai?
I know it's $50K for first, goes down from there. And honestly, I can't keep track anymore if they have which one of these competitions have payouts for event wins or not. I think this one might be one of those, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
And Rogue was like 250, right?
Close, yeah, 215,000 base, and then it might have gone up from there. Yeah.
And then what about Wadapalooza?
I think they dropped it from 100,000 last year to 75,000 this year. Last year they had a huge discrepancy. It was like 100,000 and then dropped to like 30,000 for a second. So I think they might have maybe tightened it up a little bit this year and maybe distributed some of that money differently. First place prize is less, but doesn't necessarily mean that the overall prize pool is.
This is a total. This has no relevance. I just opened a tab and wanted to show you this. Do you know who that is?
I don't know. No, I can't tell from this, whatever this is.
Do you know who that looks like?
No.
Oh shit! It won't play. What if I hit reset? You know who that is?
No.
How about that? That's Katrin David's daughter's doppelganger. Isn't that crazy? I invited this girl. I jumped into this girl's DMs and asked her if she'd come on the show and play Katrin so I could do a skit with her, like pretend like I was interviewing Katrin. Doesn't it look just like her? I mean, I can't even believe it. I cannot even believe it.
And did she take you off on the offer?
No, she didn't. She didn't respond. She didn't respond. I was going to go over here to my.
Maybe eventually.
What'd you say? If I get big enough? Someone said they just sent me a DM and I wanted to see it. It might have that guy's Vladimir's. What's the guy's name? Vladimir Sashimi.
Sechin, I think. Sechin.
Oh. No, but I don't see your DM. Whoever said that, Jeremy Eat World or whoever. How much? How much would the down under pay? Oh, there he is. Okay.
I think it said it was either $12,000 or $10,000. I don't know if those are Australian dollars or what, but something like that.
Okay. And when you think of events and their size, does that matter to you? Does that go into it also? The amount of the payout? Is that
For
kind
sure.
of like no one will ever catch Rogue?
No. But I mean, that's the reason why when I was going through the Spire of the Sears Tower rankings there, that I didn't include the semifinals yet. Like some of the semifinals have a great caliber of athletes. And this year, that's going to be extremely good. I mean, one European semifinal, like that is harder than Dubai, like way harder than Dubai. But the prize payout's not going to match that. Even if they doubled it from last year, it's only winning 10,000 instead of 5,000. Honestly, it's laughable. Like that is such an elite competition to win. And then they would say, well, you're really just competing for the games. But it's like on its own, one European semifinal, 2 North American semifinals, like those are massive events. And I would love to see some kind of partnership or something where, someone's able to come in and provide more money, because, placing 10th in that competition is insanely difficult and you're going to get almost nothing for it.
That's interesting. I never ever thought about it, but those events have no incentive to raise the prize money.
I think CrossFit should be making an effort to do so. Because
I don't disagree, but they have no incentive.
Well, no, it's not like you're going to raise the prize pool and get better athletes. Like all the best athletes are still trying to come. It's just,
right.
Why would you not want there to be something in terms of a financial payout for athletes that are doing well at those events? There's some of the, like outside of the games, they should be the biggest events.
You can't argue. I mean, it's interesting. What do you think? What do you think about the Zelos games? Why don't you think that there were more people in the house there? Why don't you think there's 17 or 14 affiliates in that area? I want to say they had anywhere from 200 to 400 people there. Why didn't, let's say 10 people, let's say every athlete, let's say 20 people came from every affiliate. That would be 10 people that would be 5 people that'd be 7 people with their wife and their kid. It would be 40 people from every affiliate. Why weren't there 600 people there?
It's the same. I mean, it's the same thing that keeps happening at these semifinals in North America is the fans just are not showing up. And I don't know why. It's kind of sad when you see Australia and you see that it's a packed house and there's tickets are selling out. And you go to a semifinal in North America and you could just pick any seat you want. There's no one there.
Did kids have to pay to get into the Zealous games?
I don't think so. I think there was a cutoff for that. Maybe
because
12 or something. That's
another thing too. Like if the tickets are $50 and you have a family of 5, you're like, fuck that. I'm not going to the Zealous games. But if your 3 kids can get in free, then you're going.
Yeah.
I have very affordable consulting fees for all sorts of stuff.
But it's it's kind of like, you remember in 2018 we went to the regionals. There were fans there in Albany, New York.
Packed.
New York. Who's going
packed.
to Albany, New York? Del Mar, California, sold
packed.
out. People 5 deep on the rails. Every seat full.
Yeah,
great
a fire hazard.
Palm Beach. They built. There's an empty space. They built the bleachers, packed full every event. It's not happening now. I don't know. It's.
I wonder if that's because those are deeply connected with the affiliates.
Which, the regionals?
Yeah, the regionals. Basically, it's a CrossFit event, and they're deeply connected. Caller, hi.
How's it going, Sevan?
Good.
Brian, how you doing?
Will Plummer.
Good morning.
I think a lot of the reason, at least what I've seen, is like community divisions, right? You look at Wadapalooza, and it's a packed house because there's other competitions going on around the elite. And then also you looked at Granite Games this year compared to 2021, and it was like 3 times the people because there's people competing. Besides
you mean so if you have different classes, every Masters athlete brings his wife and his 3 kids. There's a teen class, and then both parents and the aunt have to come. And you're saying just make more events, more categories of competition, and more people show up. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah. You think about it, a team of 3, right? If each person on that team has 2 people come watch them, that's 6 more people that are showing up.
That wasn't going on during some regionals, though.
Yeah, it was not. A matter of fact, it's a very exclusive competition. Shayna Medeiros, that's why regional competitions will make a difference. More people can and will travel to watch athletes they know.
Well, we had talked about that when we thought that there were still going to be 4 semifinals. Now there's only 2. And so, the trade-off is you might have to travel a little farther, but you're going to see a better caliber of field, not top to bottom. I will see about the bottom, but at least at the top, you're going to see 20 men with a chance to make the games instead of 10.
How many athletes are there at Wadapalooza?
Total athletes across all divisions, there's usually 2,500 to 3,000.
So if every person brings 3 people, I mean, just as you know, some people bring 10, some people bring none. So there you have 6,000 people. Will, thank you very much, brother.
Yep. See you guys.
My strong coffee is getting low. Thank you.
All right.
And tell me about the Dubai, what it's known for. What do you think we're gonna see? Pretend like you don't know shit. What is Dubai known for in terms of the competition, the movements, the workouts?
What Dubai has been known for has changed a little bit over the years, but going back to the kind of their origins, they were you were used to seeing something in the ocean, possibly something in the desert, but more than that, you would see unique movements. And if you remember, actually, the 2019 CrossFit Games we talked about with Fikowski, they had the DFC original workout that included things like deck squats, or is that what they're called? Deck squats and jumping push-ups or flying push-ups. They had inverted chest to bar pull-ups with the pronated instead of supinated grip. They were the first competition to program Devil's Press, I believe, all the way back in either maybe 2012. And they used to be beat downs of competitions, like 10 to 15 events for 4 days, some off-site, really heavy. They've tailored that back a little bit. I believe there were 9 events last year, for example. They did have those, but like they'll do some unique stuff. They were obviously on the ski slopes for the first 2 workouts in the Dubai Mall last year. So it's a destination competition for some people. Mostly Europeans compete there, but you have gotten some big name Americans, Canadians, etc. in the past. Australians, people from New Zealand, like Jamie Simmons. And you get just a little bit different flavor of programming. That's a little. They have a lot of freedom and liberty to do it. There's not a lot of as many checks and balances as some of the other ones have. So you get a little bit of diversity from programming perspective, movements or diversity of movements you might not get in other competitions. So, there are, if you study their history of their programming, there's some, like I said earlier, like they like to have these short sprinty power output workouts, either with a barbell or with machines. Like we had the acid bath. They had that little snatch ladder one year where it was like a 1.5 minute workout, but it was somewhat challenging snatch weights. And so usually get a big array of stuff from their programming.
Will Brandstetter, if you have to rely on community divisions to bring people, it's not a real sport. I don't know. What if I hear you, Will, but what if they didn't serve beer at football games?
Well, I only go to the football games for the band at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. Each one has its own kind of screwed up reason. We could pull football apart and explain why people go there, and it wouldn't look pretty. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, Dubai does have a new venue this year. They're not using the tennis stadium that they've always used in the past. They're doing it at this Coca-Cola arena.
My favorite.
So I don't know. I don't know how that will impact the presentation or workout selection. And HWPO is working in partnership with them to program this competition.
Oh, is the way you were describing Dubai, I was starting to get some sort of like it's somewhere between CrossFit and grid.
Yeah, maybe. Much, I would say, more leaning towards CrossFit than grid because they still have like safe movement standards outlined for the athletes to follow.
Makes sense that Brian is a band geek. The band needs love too. And they've changed the name. Is the Dubai? It used to be the Dubai CrossFit Championships, and now it's just the Dubai Fitness Championships.
So they have reverted back to Dubai Fitness Championships, which is what it originally was. They were Dubai CrossFit Championships, I think, starting in 2018, and now they're going back.
And what happened? They just couldn't agree with sponsorship package with CrossFit?
So, yeah, I mean, there's people are always asking this question, like, why do you pay CrossFit to be a licensed event or a sanctioned event, and what do you get in return for it? And it's it goes both ways. So you pay for something, you get something, but there's also an expectation for something. So I'm sure that just somewhere in the process of talking about that, they decided that whatever they're getting out of it, they don't really need it, and they're perfectly fine with the DFC title that they had years ago.
I'd be curious what that conversation's like, because
You got the wrong guy.
I think it's important to have the word CrossFit on it, unless it was so out of some sort of safety concerns. But just because you want to bring awareness, I mean, they're trying to grow the sport, right? I mean, look the way they did, and we'll get to this too, but look the way they're doing the road to the games this year in order for athletes to get here. Is the goal not to appeal to people outside of the areas where it's already massive? It's already massive in the United States. It's massive in Australia. It's massive in France. You would think they'd want their name on such a prestigious event.
CrossFit?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they did, but if Dubai didn't for whatever reason, then what's CrossFit going to do about it?
Right. Okay. I was just thinking that maybe CrossFit was asking for too much.
Well,
Maybe
I mean, that's where it'd be
maybe
interesting
not.
to know the conversation. If they're asking
Right.
for X and Dubai says, well, that doesn't make sense for our competition, and CrossFit's not willing to budge at all in their position, then Dubai's going to say, okay, see you later. But we don't know if that happened or not. We're just speculating.
Very true. Just speculating, like an Andrew Hiller video. Can we pull up the athletes really quick, Caleb, if you get a chance, for the men who are there? We'll just have Brian give us a quick little pick, and then we'll move on to my favorite article that was in the Barbell Spin recently. Is there a place where we can just see a list of the athletes? Like is there a leaderboard up yet? I think maybe I put a link to a leaderboard.
I sent you the online qualifier leaderboard that has, basically has them all there in order of how they finish on the qualifier. I didn't send it to you, Caleb. I'm sorry.
I think I have it in my notes, Caleb, but maybe not. I don't.
It's in the text between you, me, and Souza.
It's on the registrate. Look at Caleb. There he goes.
So these are the qualifiers in order of how they did in the qualifier.
And so who are your top three picks here for the men?
I think for the men, it's a clear, very, very clear top three. Brent, Lazar, and Jonakowski. Jonakowski, if you forgot, last September, so like 14 months ago, he had surgery, I think rotator cuff surgery, and he's been on the mend ever since then. In my opinion, he's looked better at every competition I've seen him at, semifinals, last chance qualifier games, and Rogue. He's someone I'm looking at to see if he can challenge Brent and Lazar, possibly even for the top spot. I actually thought he looked, even though he didn't do amazing at Rogue, I thought he looked really good there. And if he's still continuing that upward trajectory, I mean, we know when he's healthy, he's very good. So those are the top three, I would say.
Is Con Porter going?
He is going. Kind of fun to have him back in the individual field. So just Moritz and Nikita Yundov, those guys are in because two of the guys within the first 20 dropped out. Will the Supernex is not in.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is a shame, but.
And the story of the people who aren't going, who we would have loved to have seen, is Samuel Cornway and Ricky Garrett.
Correct.
All right. So be it. Can we check out the female competitors?
Both of whom would have been podium threats if they'd showed up.
Yes. Yes, it would have been much more difficult for Lazar to win.
Women's side, we haven't talked about the women yet. There's less well-known names even than on the men's side here. Jamie Simmons pops off the page. Emily Rolfe pops off the page. And I think, I can't remember if there's 15 athletes out of the 20 that have not competed in Dubai before. And like maybe 14 of the 20 that have never made it to the games before. And a couple who've made it to the games only made it in 2019 as a national championship. For example, Valentina Rangel was the national champion from Colombia that year. She got cut after the first workout. So it's like, yeah, she just made it to the games. But basically, there's a ton of opportunity for women here, including your girl, Amy Kringle, maybe.
Where's she? Well. Where's she?
She's up there somewhere. There she
is.
Oh,
yeah. Amy, atta girl.
I think Matilda Garnes is someone to watch in this competition who could do extremely well. And if you're looking for a little bit less well-known, who I've got my eye on, is another French woman. She actually won the qualifier, Claudia Gluck. She was she was doing quite well in about half the workouts at semifinals and pretty poorly on the other ones. But she's really imploded on the legless rope climb workout, and it cost her like 3 or 4 positions on the whole weekend. So I think she might do fairly well. And then again, there's some athletes like Freya Moosbrugger and Sehir Kaya who both made the games this past year. They finished, I think Sehir was like 28th and Freya was like 32nd or something. And we didn't really get to see too much of them. Even Karen Frey, who is 20th. Karen Frey is someone who could potentially win this competition. You know, she was in that year of 2019 where we had Brent and Pat and Roman battling out. I think it was 2019. Oh no, that was 2018. Excuse me. Karen Frey was in a group with Sigma's daughter, Jamie Green, and Sam Briggs that year, who all were within 10 points of each other going to the final workout. And so obviously all could have won it. She ended up taking 4th that year, but she came back and got 2nd the next year to Sarah, beating Sam, Gabby.
This is at this isn't at the games. This is at
Dubai.
Oh, Dubai.
In Dubai. So Karen Frey has a good track record in Dubai. 4th, 2018. 2nd, 2019, beating Sam Briggs, Gabby McGowan, Jamie Green, Emily Rolfe, Alessandra Percelli. Yeah, she's great, you know, and she's getting better. So those are some of the women I would be looking at.
Scroll back up a little bit. There was someone I wanted to ask you about up there, and I forget what I was going to say, but I bet if I see their name, I remember. Tilda Garns, Emily Rolfe. Oh, France. Has France ever sent a female to the individual games?
Outside of 2019 and 20, I don't think so.
Interesting. And I think France has exploded. I want to say France has. I need to look at the affiliate map, but I want to say they're approaching 1,000 CrossFit gyms. Lazar Jukic. Hi everyone. Hello, my friend. Congratulations on your victory in Dubai, Lazar. Impressive performance. Not cool to take advantage of a waning Fikowski, but whatever. You do you. Okay. Unpopular opinion. Sevan. Okay, fine. Okay. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we switch to this article about the barbell spin in regards to the Dubai Fitness Championships, formerly known as the Dubai CrossFit Championships?
No, I think maybe we can even come back to Dubai another time, so we can move on.
Okay, and you'll be doing the commentating there with Derek. What's Derek's last name?
Forrest.
You'll be doing the commentating with Derek Forrest, and he was one of the sideline reporters at the CrossFit Games.
And he did the commentary last year in Dubai with Tommy Marquez.
Oh, okay, fantastic. And is this you had this gig before you did the Zealous Games?
I did.
Have you been offered any other gigs or reach out since you did the Zealous Games? Since you got on your
haven't been offered any gigs yet, but some people have reached out and said that they liked it.
Yeah, it was crazy. You were doing your Chick Hearns. Do you know who Chick Hearns is?
Not by name.
Oh, let's see if I can. I think Chick Hearns.
Horse racing commentary from the 60s.
No, but Chick Hearn, born in 1916, died in 2002. Wow. I remember when he died, like yesterday. He was an American sportscaster who was the play-by-play announcer for the Los Angeles Lakers of the National Basketball Association for 41 years.
So that's kind of high praise, thank you.
Yeah, he said the funniest shit. He was so great.
You think I'm funny?
No, but there's room. I mean, yeah, no, you're not funny. I don't think you're not funny, but you're not funny. Can you pull up this article by Barbell Spin? This is an interesting article on Barbell Spin. We've had Mr. Spin on the air several times. It was written by the guy Peter at Coffee Pods and Wads. The title of the article is From Paying Athletes to Poaching Them. I would like to just say right off the bat that one of the people that he interviewed in the article said that we shouldn't call it poaching, we should call it recruiting. And it's an interesting
distinction.
Yeah, I get a little. I just want the facts. I don't need too much analysis from people, or I'd rather have it say that the paragraph be titled analysis, and then just straight facts before the actual title of the article insinuates poaching. From paying athletes to poaching them, should CrossFit adopt rules for how training camps approach athletes? I am very impressed with the article. It's cool to see something like this in the space. You can tell Peter did a shitload of fucking work to bring this article to light. But the thing that stood out for me the most, there were three things that stood out to me. And if you could scroll, do you want to say anything about this before I dig in, Brian?
I agree with what you said, that he has clearly reached out to many people and gotten a variety of different input on this. I also know that there are people he reached out to. I think he even mentions it in the article that chose not to comment or commented off the record, but it's he had an idea, and instead of just going with the idea on his own, he also took the initiative to try to get in touch with some very well-known, relevant, and I would say important people in terms of having this conversation before putting this out there.
Yeah, and to double down on that, I really appreciate the people cooperating with this article. Matt Torres, Matt O'Keefe, Max El Haj, and the list goes on and on. I didn't see
Justin Kotler. Yeah,
Mr. Kotler. I didn't see Ben Bergeron's name.
There were some that he reached out to that chose not to weigh in on this.
Drew Crandall from Misfit Athletics. Generous quotes from him.
Did he have anything from Proven in there? I can't remember. There was a lot, but I know he reached out to CompTrain. I know he reached out to Mayhem.
And basically this is there's two, I think that this article, if I would sum it up, there's a couple things, ideas being brought to the light. One, should you pay, or not should you? The topics of athletes who get paid to be at training camps versus those that don't get paid, and then poaching athletes or recruiting athletes who are currently with other camps as opposed to just waiting for them to reach out. But when I mentioned the word poaching, when it comes to attracting athletes to camps, Crandall offered an alternative term, recruitment. And I think recruitment is far more honest, truthful.
Are you sure poaching is not just a trigger word for you?
Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Should we look up? I think poaching
dive into your subconscious self.
I think poaching is a kind of it's a subcategory of recruitment. I think it's I just smell victim all over it. It's like, hey, listen, if you train at the Three Plane Brothers Empire and you only get to train with my kids versus Matt Fraser reaches out to you and says, hey, do you want to come up here and train in my compound in Vermont with Mao? But I'm calling that poaching. Like, fuck you. Do you care about yourself or the athlete? The illegal practice of trespassing. So right away, it's not the right word. Right away, the word's just a fucking lie because there's nothing illegal but going on.
Well, that's what he's talking about actually throughout the entire article. Is in
Should it be
some
illegal?
Sports, it is illegal, or there are clauses that are put in place that should make that at least if you do it outside of the bounds of how it's written, that you get a slap on the wrist or a fine or whatever.
Right, and he also goes on to say that that's a professional practice. That's professionalizing.
He basically suggests that it exists in most sports.
Yeah, so
it's something that we should explore. That's the nature. The point of the article is to explore that question. Should this be a practice within CrossFit or something that we adopt pretty soon?
Yeah. Would you also consider professionalizing the way they treated Kyrie, or the way that they made the players kneel, or the fact that they sell Sprite nonstop on their commercials? Or that the entire league is racist, openly racist, these leagues? Is that professional too? Just tell me. I'm just curious. Can you show me that list of what professionalizing means? It's just dishonest reporting in the article. It's completely dishonest. I think, and I think it is. I want to bring up one quote from Matt O'Keefe in here. By the way, I really like Peter and Matt O'Keefe too. Don't anyone get this shit twisted. O'Keefe and HWPO do a lot for their athletes, but they don't pay them. Instead, quote, we tell their story with content, support them around competition, care for them when they are in town. We feel comfortable that we provide a massive value to them with our coaching and support, explained O'Keefe. I remember when Miko Salo was signing with Reebok, and they were going to give him they gave him like a $34,000 gift certificate to buy shit on their website. And Miko Salo said, "No, thank you. I'm a 34-year-old man. I don't need a $34,000 gift certificate to a clothing website. What I need is cash because I have a fucking mortgage to pay." And O'Keefe didn't say it, but there's this sort of like poo-pooing around. There's this sort of poo-pooing around paying the athletes cash, maybe. And I also think that
he almost did say it.
I think that it's interesting to say. It would be like if I bragged about how much better my podcast is than other people's, without showing the fact that I'd worked at CrossFit for 15 years. And I didn't mention all the support that I get from other people, et cetera, et cetera. I just feel like that there's yeah, dude, you're at top of the food chain. You have the 5 times fucking games athlete there who's selling fucking protein powder. Like, come on, dude. I just think it's a disingenuous kind of like corporate quote. I'm not I know I'm being a little nitpicky here, but then I even went further and I went over to the HWPO website, and I went to their YouTube page, and I don't see anything that screams out at me supporting the athletes. I just looked at the first page and scrolled through quickly. I couldn't find Jason Hopper's name once in one of the videos. So I just
well, that's the kind of. I love the idea of the article.
And don't get me wrong, me too. I love the idea of the article too. And don't get me wrong, if I was an athlete and Matt said, "Hey, come over here and you have to pay me," I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." Like, I'd pay Matt. But that's the category that they're in at the top of the fucking mountain. Matt's King Kong.
Sure. But like I mentioned, I believe he reached out to CompTrain. I believe he reached out to Mayhem. I have to imagine he reached out to Proven. I apologize. I can't remember if there was anything from them in here or not.
I don't remember seeing anything either.
He talked to a bunch of people. We forgot about Singleton. He talked to some athletes. But I feel like part of the perspective is missing. Like, I don't actually know which of the camps do pay their athletes, and if there's, if they have been paying them for a long time or not. But it sounds to me like a majority of the people that did want to weigh in on this are the people who are not paying their athletes for whatever reason, either the O'Keefes who don't want to or don't need to, or people like Kotler and who said, like, we can't afford to, which is fine.
Right.
Also,
right.
But I'd like to hear from the other side. When Matt O'Keefe says something like, "I think if you're paying athletes for them to be coached by you, that you're likely compensating for value you aren't providing," like, that's a pretty aggressive statement, in my opinion, or maybe a passive aggressive statement.
Yes.
And I'd love to know what someone who is paying their athletes or who has been paying their athletes thinks about that and has to offer. In most sports, I mean, he talks about soccer. You pay the athletes to play for your team. They have a contract to play. That's not, so that point of view from O'Keefe is a little bit puzzling to me.
And it contradicts the professionalization.
I think there might have been something in the beginning of the article about professionalizing and what that means in terms of finances. But if you're a professional athlete, that means that you derive your salary from the sport that you play. Like, you were providing for yourself and your family based on your work, which is your sport. Where that money comes from can change. And we've seen, Jason CF Media did an exposition on this in June, I think, where he talked about people leveraging some success on the field of play. We mentioned it with Lauren Fisher. She leveraged some success on the field of play into a lot of success in the world of influencer, sponsorships, endorsement deals, traveling around and putting on different camps. I don't know how much money he makes from it, but like the Train Like Rich, that model is being adopted by other people. If you live in Europe, you can do Train with Lazar now, and he's having these couple dozen people come to his camps and certainly making some money off of something like that. If there's a person who's willing to pay you to be on their team for a season or 3 seasons or whatever the contract says, and you're an athlete who's trying to become a pro in this sport, let's just say that you're Sidney McAlishan and CompTrain calls up and says, "Hey, move to New England and we'll pay you to stay here for 3 years and this salary on top of it and whatever else." I mean, you have to consider that if someone makes that offer.
It almost, I don't want to say disingenuous. Oh, fuck it. I'm going to say it's almost disingenuous what I think O'Keefe is saying there because of this too. It is I don't know if is it symbiotic relationship. But the relationship there is yeah, maybe Hopper does get a shitload of eyeballs if you did make videos about him, or Mal O'Brien would get a shitload of eyeballs. But the truth is that they're bolstering your brand too with their performance. And so if it's a wash, then why can't you pay them? And by no means am I suggesting that you should pay them. I'm just saying I think and once again, I don't know the details of what HWPO does for their athletes. You know, I suspect that O'Keefe, he is a very he's a very cool dude. He treats people in his circle like family. I'm not questioning his credibility in that at all. It seems like an empty statement to me.
And I think the quote that Peter was able to get from Pat Vellner kind of summarizes what I was saying. But Pat says, "I'm happy for athletes to be earning. Every athlete needs to do what they think is right for them to be successful. It's not for everyone, but it works great for others. So, you know, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But, you know, I think there are other people similarly to O'Keefe who are not doing it, but they were like, yeah, but if there's others that are doing it, great. Like, good for them."
I'm going to pretend like I'm Matt O'Keefe, and you ask me, do you guys pay your athletes to train at HWPO? You can call me Matt. You don't have to call me Mr. O'Keefe. I know you're friends with him.
Matt, you guys paying your athletes up there?
That's hilarious. You mean, are they paying us? Do you know how fucking good Matt is? Have you seen our media team? Are they paying us? They come there, they get to use a world-class facility with the fittest man ever, who has an attention to detail like no other in the business. We charged Mal O'Brien $100,000 last year just to hang out with Matt 1 hour a day, 200 days a year. That's the contract. That would have been, I think, more of, I don't know. I'm okay. Stifle. This goes on to say in the article.
You like role playing, Sevan?
I do.
Okay.
I do it with my kids all the time. It's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever they whine and ask their mom for something, I'm like, nah. Let me show you how you do it. Hey, baby. What's up? I can't believe how nice those Lululemons look on you, Mom. This isn't true. The article says this, and this is written in the article. No, this is 100% not true. Nobody wants to stifle the earning potential of the athletes of the sport we love.
Where is this from?
This is from that article, from the Barbell Spin article. Everybody shares the goal of professionalizing the sport and increasing the opportunities available through the sport. We'd have to define professional and sport, because clearly the CrossFit Games broadcast doesn't even know it's a sport. They seem to not even know what the definition of sport or competition is. Smaller training houses will always struggle to offer the same support to athletes as their larger counterparts. That is not true in the UFC, that's for sure. There are some very small places, like where Kamaru Usman and Rose Namajunas and Justin Gaethje train. Now, granted, that guy is a very famous coach, but it's a very, very small camp. I want to get caller. Hi. I will get back to this after we listen to the caller. Caller. Hi.
Hey, I just had a quick question. So about this poaching and stuff, like, shouldn't it be up to the athlete if they think that this relationship would be better? Then wouldn't it be more beneficial in their favor? Like, it should be up to them. It shouldn't be legal or illegal. Like, it should be their decision if they think that this relationship or this coach is going to benefit them more. Like, then it should be their choice.
Let me play devil's advocate here real quick. Do you have a husband?
Sevan, no. Can we know the name of the caller first?
Paulina.
Paulina, do you have a boyfriend?
No, I'm not. No, I don't.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
Sevan, I told you didn't have to do this for me with every female caller.
What I was gonna say is, let me just play devil's advocate. I don't think my neighbor would appreciate me going over there when he's at work and I'm right after I'm done jerking off on my podcast and go over there and start talking to his wife. Right. So I don't want to play completely stupid, right? Like, he does not, like, I know he's a contractor and works 14 hours a day. Like, he does not want me going over there talking to his wife, probably, like sitting around having coffee with her in the morning, smoking cigarettes.
Right.
So do you think that there's anywhere that there should be a line?
I don't think so, because, like, if the athlete is comfortable with their relationship with their coach, then, like, there shouldn't be anything else that comes in between like them and their coach or like them and their manager or whatever it may be. Like it should be their choice in the end, I think.
Let me play devil's advocate one more time. What do you think about contracts with an athlete? Let's say Matt knows, hey, I'm going to sign Mal O'Brien. He wants to protect his brand and doesn't want her to leave, before 2 years are over, and the time commitment he's willing to give. But let's say 6 months into that, Nike calls her and says, hey, we want to bring you to Portland. All you have to do is take this vaccine and you can train here for the next 3 years and we'll pay you $300,000 a year. And then Matt's kind of would be like screwed because he already made this 2-year commitment.
I think the contract would be fair. So that still leaves like poaching on the table. But like if you have a contract in play and you have like, if you agree to that, then I mean, that's kind of on you. That's still the athlete's decision,
Fair. Right. Good point.
I mean, I know that there are examples in the sport right now of people who came up through a homegrown training environment with local companies, coaches, or communities that were investing in them before they made a big breakthrough. And then after making a big breakthrough, there was nothing bad about that relationship. These athletes were happy there. They were getting what they needed and it helped them get to where they were. But that homegrown environment, whatever it consisted of, was suddenly had to be weighed against another person who came calling and said, hey, we want to bring you onto our roster and we can offer you this, that small community from wherever couldn't offer them. And those are, while what Paulina is saying is it should be the athlete's decision. It's not an easy one.
Emma Lawson and Jack Farlow, there's two just fish out there swimming in the pond. I mean,
yeah. And I was thinking about like Adam and Justin, their relationship. Like Justin doesn't feel the need to go to this big name brand.
Well, he's the title male sponsor for Noble. I'm sure that they're taking good care of him.
Right. But yeah.
But look at Emma Lawson. She belongs to a small gym. Sorry, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
Right, but she's also with Noble. So this is what Vellner's talking about, is that earning opportunities for athletes are not just one-dimensional. Some can earn enough money on the field of play. Others will earn money through sponsorships. If there's another opportunity for a training camp to be your primary source of income until you either make it or you don't, if that's the best option available, I could understand someone taking that. I think what Peter's asking is, if you're in a situation where you are this company that's invested in an athlete and is helping them on the way, and there's nothing that's preventing them from leaving should someone come calling, that the governing body, CrossFit in this case, is not implementing something like that it's just free reign. It's the Wild West in that regard.
What do you think about this? This is a different subject, but what do you think about the fact that, and I don't know what Ben Bergeron's finances are, but let's say he sells programming for $40 a month and he has Katrin David's daughter there. I don't think there's any problem with him saying, hey, I'm going to give you 3% of all the sales from training as long as you train here.
Yeah, I think that's so weird because there's like this flip of where I think you'll have athletes who like train with a smaller group or like a smaller team. And it's like, is the athlete paying the coach a certain percent? And then there's also different scenarios where like someone at a big group, like we can say HWPO or something, are they paying their athletes? So like, where does that switch happen? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, I think it's a weird line, and I don't know if that comes with growing more as like a professional sport, like NFL. When does that come into play, where like the actual league is paying their athletes, and you don't have to worry about like traveling expenses for the athletes? Because if you're having athletes complain like, I'm not going to go compete because it's so expensive, when does that get brought in?
And don't forget, we just saw one of the biggest names in the sport just get kicked out of a training camp. We just saw Danielle Brandon get booted out of Underdogs Athletics. So it can go the other way. It can go the other way too.
Yeah, exactly.
But but what Peter's saying is, if Matt Torres was interested in Danielle Brandon and he was actively pursuing her while she's at Underdogs Athletics, that's one thing, and maybe enticing her with whatever he has to offer. But as soon as that relationship is severed and it's known, if he just waits and then makes a play at that point, that's what happens in in international soccer and football. There are transfer windows, and there are specific times during the year when you can engage in those conversations, and the rest of the year you're not supposed to be doing that.
Well, I think that there is a piece of integrity or courtesy where there does seem to be a distinction between a coach. Let's just keep going with that. Whether Matt, even though it's just an example, none of what this is true, by the way, not even close to true. But if Matt reaches out to Danielle Brandon versus Danielle Brandon reaching out to Matt, I would not like coaches reaching out to my athletes. That doesn't mean it's wrong, no. But if my athletes want to reach out to different coaches, I mean, look, Justin took Danielle Brandon to HWPO. They went there together. Look, Adam Knifer went to HWPO with Justin Medeiros. I mean, so they even go into the Lion's Den.
I think if the athlete's like dancing on that line, though, like, do you really want them as your athlete then? Like, does it mean that much to them? Like, do you have
sell $1 million a year worth of programming for you? You want them?
Yeah.
I mean, what would HWPO be without Matt Fraser?
I mean, yeah.
Eating with Sammy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure. I have to guess, and this is not a dig at Ben Bergeron at all. I have to guess Katrin brought so much fucking notoriety to that camp.
You think it's up to the athlete to bring that up, though? To be like, hey, you wouldn't mean anything without me.
No,
I guess that's what agents and managers are for. They play the bad guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your thoughtful call.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Is it a clear line, Brian? Do you stand anywhere with like clear distinction? Like, hey, athletes shouldn't be reaching out, or coaches shouldn't be reaching out. Do you have any thoughts on it?
I thought that this part of the article was actually fairly perspective, a good perspective from Peter. I think it was in the intro when he talks about there are ways to do that are just they're a little bit less invasive. You know, you happen to see some athlete at a competition that you think in your mind, man, if I could just get a hold of that person, I would have a chance to really do something with them. And so you run into him at a competition, you say, you looked great out there today. Just kind of that nicety, dropping that in there. The next time you see them in a competition, you say something else to them. Wow, didn't realize you'd gotten so good at the overhead squat. You know, and then you're just planting these seeds and waiting for the opportunity. Again, we could just use the same example. Say it's Danielle Brandon, and you've had a chance to see her at this semifinal, and then you saw her at Wadapalooza, and you ran into her a couple of times, and you said those things, knowing that, man, down the line, I would love to get my hands on her. We could really help do something cool together. And then all of a sudden, she's available. And you reach out, and she might have that memory of, hey, you know what? That person did say a couple of nice things to me the last couple of times I saw him. Maybe I should pursue a conversation with this person. So if you're a coach who's like looking at that, some of it comes down to what you're comfortable with morally. You know, how much do you want to press the issue, or are you just going to take little opportunities to drop compliments, hoping that should the opportunity come up in an appropriate setting, that they'll remember those little things.
I do want to point out to this. There's this Taoist saying that says, if they lie for you, they'll lie to you.
If they cheat on you, they'll cheat with you. Yeah, there's a bunch of variations for it.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that just because your boyfriend in year one cheated on you, that 20 years later in your relationship, he's going to cheat on you again, or vice versa, your girlfriend. But, and I want to go back to this word professionalizing. It is many of the brands that are in the CrossFit space that people think that are professionalizing the sport have zero integrity, zero morality. The things that you see them doing publicly and the virtue signaling, just remember, you're just garbage to them too. They make garbage products. I mean, Noble is the one that just stands out the most to me. If you remember who you're getting in bed with, the alligator that smiles is still an alligator. Just look at how they treat you. So the athletes have to think about that. If you see if your coach, quote unquote, poach you, just remember that's who you're dealing with.
Recruited you?
Well, if they recruited you is different. I think of yeah, but I'm just saying if you see it as your coach poached you, it's the same thing like this. I see this a lot in couples. Maybe it's just because I'm older, but a husband and wife get divorce, and let's just use the husband for example, and they have 5 kids, and the husband gets a new wife, And then the new wife is pissed off that the father spends so much time with his kids because she wants that time. That's not a good new wife. Like, there's things that you might not like that people do, but because it selfishly doesn't suit you. But remember, they're showing their integrity to you, and they're showing their morals and their bounds to you. Fraser's never going to talk to you again. Why? Because I said he has the best programming. He's King Kong and he's at the top of the empire, or because I'm never going to answer my phone. Which one is it? Yeah, I know. I hear you. That's almost everyone that advertises. I know it's gross. It does not have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. The authentic brands will always win at the end. Trust me, they will win. And to go, there's this there. A cowboy is a cowboy for a reason, because he wakes up at 5 a.m, because of the job he does, because he drinks shit coffee.
Just the spurs on the boots and the hat.
No, thank you, Brian. That gets to it right there. Look at the people who are really wearing the chaps and the spurs because they actually ride a horse and they ride in the brush, and don't get confused. This thing of professionalizing this word is because those people are tricked by the mannequin in the window as a real cowboy. It's not a real cowboy. A real cowboy has a lot of distinct qualities that are built up around the authenticity and needs and the function of his job.
Happy this article's out there?
I'm very happy. It's stimulated me quite a bit. I really appreciate it. I'm actually very impressed with like I said, I'm very impressed with the fact that, thank you for letting me save myself, Brian. I'm very impressed with the fact that Peter reached out to so many people, that he got so many quotes. I'm impressed by the fact that the community, so many people like O'Keefe, El Haj, that guy Crandall, all were willing to share their
Singleton, Fikowski, Fellner. There's a lot.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you to all those guys for contributing. It's good. It's good conversation. Okay. Anything you want to make a closing statement on this article?
I agree. I think it's a great topic of conversation. I'm glad that Peter put it out there and we had a chance to talk about it. And I think that it'll probably continue to be a topic that's addressed a little bit privately and maybe in a couple public settings as well over the next season.
Peter writes very well. We could say nice things about all these people. O'Keefe's an amazing manager. Matt Fraser's an incredible coach, etc. These are all things that don't have to be separate from just looking at the start. I quit you, Sevan. You ain't quitting shit. Eat my ass. Okay. 2023 CrossFit season. What has changed?
Oh my gosh.
Why, Brian, why don't they just use the open? Why don't they add value to their own brand? Why do they keep saying, well, this is what soccer and tennis does? This is what NASCAR does. This is what or golf and tennis do. This is what golf and tennis do. Like, dude.
Well, let me say this. When I first went to Scottsdale, Arizona to do the OPEX immersion course with James Fitzgerald, he opened his first seminar by saying, I stand on the shoulders of giants. And he's saying, I've learned from those who've come before. And in that regard, I think that it's perfectly normal and expected that CrossFit, and Justin Berg is almost like a nerd in this regard, would pursue understanding how individual sports that have long seasons operate. So he studied the PGA. He's pursued conversations with people involved in that and with all those other sports you talked about, golf and tennis and swimming and horse racing. I don't know, car racing, whatever. And then he's trying to pull the best from those things to make a plan that could apply to CrossFit. However, you must remember CrossFit is, while similar, very different than those things. And also, those models have been refined over decades based on experience. And I would want to know, what did it look like in year one? And that's what I'm not sure if he's done or not. I don't know if he's talked to someone who was around when the PGA first started implementing worldwide ranking systems and said, okay, I see that you have that now and the model makes sense and they draw on this number of recent competitions or years or whatever. Before that was a thing, what happened? How do we get to this point? Because that's what I see for CrossFit right now. And I posted on my Instagram the day that they made that thing. I said, any system that's drawing retroactively on athletes' performance for a future model to rank them in a worldwide system is irresponsible. Because like I said about the World Cup, that's the one competition that I know everyone is showing up at their best. And the only thing I can say that for in CrossFit is the games. Even at Rogue, I don't think that that's the best version of Justin Medeiros. I don't think he thinks it's the best version of him. There might be some athletes that it is. Maybe Manu Nangonis is at her best because she didn't get to do semifinals or the games. The point being, if you're going to look backwards, you're taking inaccurate information. Because we know for a fact that there's people that didn't try in the Open last year. We know for a fact there's people that didn't try in quarterfinals last year. We know for a fact that there's athletes that didn't even taper for semifinals last year. And so their performances are skewed. And you're going to base those performances on how you're going to assess a ranking for this year. And you couple that with the fact that the Open numbers are not where they want them to be, that the buy-in from the top-level athletes is not what it should be to inspire the rest of the community to be bought in for the Open. And I know that that's a massive interest for CrossFit and a massive interest for Noble and a massive interest for the season as a whole. It's a jumping off point. Yes, it is so obvious to me. Put some amount of weight on this year's Open and then a little bit more weight on this year's quarterfinals. Make those relevant as the beginning of a worldwide ranking system and then build upon it from there. You reinvigorate the Open, you reinvigorate the quarterfinals, and you give yourself a clean slate jumping off going forward. Maybe we want to get to the model that PGA Tour has or the Worldwide Tennis Association has, but we're not there yet. We have to start somewhere. Why not just start with Open this year? I'm completely with you.
The Open is open, right? You can register for it?
Yep. November 17th opened up for quite a bit earlier than usual, almost 2 months.
I think that's the only positive thing I can say about it. I think it's great that they opened it up now. It's weird that I have not heard about it except through word of mouth. I have not seen anything anywhere. I haven't seen any media on it. I'm not saying that there's not some out there, but I haven't seen shit. If you go to the CrossFit, can you go to the CrossFit Games YouTube page, Caleb, for a second? Brian, did you ever hear that idea? The first time I heard it was from Chase Ingram, I think, where basically you use the Open to affect the last chance instead of the last chance qualifier, therefore invigorating or incentivizing people to do better in the Open.
I have about 10 minutes, by the way.
Okay. Go to videos. I want to let's put them in order of like Sam Briggs, Camille, Game Central. This is like what? I don't see anything about the Open in here. Do you?
No.
God, this site is a fucking mess.
Professional?
Yeah, very. Very. What is going on over there? How do you get to the games? Do you even know?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no.
Grunler said it. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Do anything to make the Open more relevant. Anything, not less. It's almost, we started the show by talking about crowds. We all know why there's crowds at the games. It's the affiliates. We all know. That's it. It's the affiliates. It's the CrossFitting community.
Is that their post right there? Early. I'm in early for the Open.
Yeah, that's horrible too. I don't need your early on there. How about just the CrossFit Open? I'm in.
Well, there's a reason for that early to be there, but
I know the whole thing looks like it's just ripped off of Nike. I'm in. How about I'm out? How about we make a list of the people who said I'm out while we're at it? I'm in. Jackasses. Barbell spin. I agree. Open and quarters of the current year determine qualification spots for the semis. Hey, once again, they're making it more complicated than Tyler Watkins' scoring system. You're just making me just want to follow it less. All I want is competitions where there's shit on the line and I see what the relevance is of winning and losing. I want to know that what I'm watching and investing my time into will be life altering for people. You win the Open, you go to the next one. You win that one, you go to the next one. You win that one and you win all the money. I don't need any fucking to do math.
CrossFit had a press conference last week, and I actually asked Adrian and Justin if there was any consideration, because they've publicized that they've taken away some spots to the games that will then be redistributed after the fact. But they only took those spots away from the strongest regions. And so I asked them if they'd consider, which they're most likely just going to give them straight back to those regions. And what it's going to be like, oh, well, we didn't give them straight back. Europe only got 4 guys instead of 5, and North America got 6 instead of 5. Like, yeah, you're just giving them straight back. And instead, they didn't take any spots away from the other continents. And I asked them, did you ever think about maybe just guaranteeing 1 spot for continent? Everyone gets 1, that's 6. And the other 34 are up for grabs for semifinal spots based on opening quarterfinals. What's wrong with that? Everyone gets 1. We still have global representation. Everyone gets 1. Everyone. North America, Africa, everyone in between gets 1. The rest of them are earned through competition. And they just basically dismissed it.
Of course. Brian, why not just give? So let me just go through this really quick. For all the regions to have, how many people does Australia get?
Currently, minimum 3.
And you'd have a smile on your face tonight and pull the blankets up to your chin and smile if they had 5, right?
No. Here's why. Because more than likely, if Tia does compete, it's going to be in the United States. More than likely, Cara Saunders is not competing. More than likely, if Jamie Simmons competes, it's going to be in the UK. I don't know. Madeline Stewart will definitely be there. And I don't know if some of these other women are going to go team or not. The point is, we cannot say in years past, they should have definitely had 5 spots for women. We talked about it with Maddie Stewart from 2018 through now. They definitely should have. You know why? Because they earned those spots through competitive excellence. They performed in live competition to the caliber of a region that should deserve more spots.
So are you saying the spots should change every year based on some?
100%. If Tia and Cara and Jamie aren't in the field, why are you going to give them 5 spots? Let them earn the spots. And then the people that make it through there's still a model where you can have value for semifinal, especially if it's uniform programming performance and definitely games performance. Tyler and I wrote an article about it 18 months ago that did a 3-year study going backwards and redistributed the game spots based on performance at the games. Now, it wasn't a waste. We found some information out there. They're actually getting better at those, but it's still.
Why don't they should stream that shit live. Why don't they? Everyone else does.
I agree.
It's pretty easy. I'll do it for you guys for free. You guys just can stream it through the Sevan Podcast like I did.
You're just going to give them your normal rate like that?
Yep, absolutely.
It's a nice guy.
A ball. Brian, what if that they use the current model that they have, but they didn't go minus the fact of going back 2 years? Would you be happy with it?
I think the model they have now could be fine, but start at 0 and let it develop over the next 2 years. Yes.
Okay. I think even what you're saying is a little complicated. I think that, like, hey, you pick these places based on the number of you find a finite number of people. So you give, instead of having 1, I say you increase the games field by 50 or by 10. So you go from 40 to 50. And you just sprinkle so South America. I think it's weird to have a sanctional with only 1 person going. I really do. You got to have 2, and you do 2 in South America, 2 in Siberia, 2 whatever the different regions are. You give it the minimum of 2.
Fine. So then that accounts for 12 of the, and you have 38 spots available that the athletes can earn based on their performance. And we know that a majority of them are going to go to North America and Europe, but what we don't know is if all of a sudden 1 year, let's just say that Ben Fowler and Peter Ellis and Jake Douglas and Reese Michelle all show up and are fucking incredible through semifinals and quarterfinals. We're like, damn, that's an addition to Ricky and Jay and Royce and all these other guys that we already know are good. Maybe they deserve a couple extra spots this year. And guess what? If they continue to do well, then they'll retain those spots. And if
but the argument on the other side is that, yeah, but they did do that by allowing, by opening up all these spots that they took away from North America. Right? Will Brandstetter, they screwed themselves.
Did you see what I posted about Asia and South American men outside of Guy and Roman? Their performances at the games are last, did not start, did not attend, last, second to last.
2 guaranteed spots to both Asia and South America. Why? Don't forget Roman will compete in the U.S. Guy may also. We're not sure. Look at the other finishes besides them. Wow. Uh,
That's
Poignant.
it. Second to last. Did not start. Withdraw online, and it did not start. That's the Asian representation. Why are we wasting spots on them? Show up and do something relevant at the games, and we'll give you as many spots as you want. Look at the others. Guy, 10th and 7th. Augustino Cromwell, 38th, 32nd out of 34. Pablo Chofon, 38th. There's nobody else there that's doing anything meaningful at the games. It's a waste of a spot. It's not that anything against Asian men or South American men in the slightest. I just want competitive athletes there.
Oh, you want it to be a sport. They screwed themselves with those minimum spot numbers they used. By screwed themselves, they made it a guarantee that the system will not work this year. I had a parent speak to me the other day because their kid learned the word screwed from my kid. I didn't like that. I felt
In
my kids have
carpentry
potty
class?
mouths. No.
Oh. Screwed in the light bulb?
I just like saying your name, Devesh Maharaj. Why they can't use the 2023 Open to decide how many slots each semifinal will have? It's the most relevant source, or I think he means quarterfinal. I know.
Open plus quarterfinals. Why not?
Yeah,
Then you have, think about it. Then you have at least 3 plus at least 5 workouts. That's 8 workouts. You get a diversity of tests, time domains, equipment available. We've seen that they can do tons of different stuff in the quarterfinals. GHGs, rope climbs, ring muscle ups, pistols, whatever. And you can have great 8 sample size tests. It's more tests than there are at semifinals to determine game spots. It should be an ample sample size to get some semblance of where the strength of field is.
This is a professional site. This is the game site. Where do you register for the Open? Oh, down here. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, look at featured athletes.
Sevan, it was a pleasure. Let's do it again next week.
Kylie Rainey was on my CrossFit podcast. Great person. Everyone should follow her. Thank you very much, Brian Friend, for coming on the show. Yep. It was I can't believe we did it. Another one. Easy day.
I'll put out the my predictions for Dubai over the weekend, maybe. If you want to talk about them later on.
Okay, maybe Tuesdays. Tuesdays good for you?
Do Tuesday, last day before I leave. That'd be good.
Okay, perfect. Let's do it. Maybe we can even talk when you're over there for shits and giggles.
I think we can make that happen.
All right. Do you want to leave or do you want me to kick you out of the studio?
Are you going to stay on?
I am.
Okay, then I'll see you later on. I'm going to leave.
Okay, bye. I won't kick Brian out. I don't want to shit on. I don't want to shit on. Actually, I don't care. I was gonna apologize, but I'm not gonna apologize. It was fine. Cat Shear, send everyone over to our channel for an interview. Okay, everyone go over there for an interview. Oh, Dave Durante.
Nice.
Dave Durante. That's the monkey guy, right?
Power Monkey Fitness or something like that.
Yeah. I was actually, Brian was just hanging with him, and so it kind of inspired me to go over and look at their photographer's Instagram page. I think his name is Jordan Samuel, and now he's the director of their media over at Monkeyland. And holy shit, he has a cool Instagram page. Man, he does a lot of fun shit. He's jacked. He's the most jacked photographer I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, he's so jacked. He looks like a UFC fighter. Bye.
Wow.
Talk to you soon, Kat. Sevan, I used a Chan bar. It has center knurling, and that helped align my hands to the center of the barbell. Oh, for your 135 snatch? Yeah, you were sad. That was savage. You ain't seen me, Sevan. I ain't seen you. Someone I know ran into you, though, and really liked you. You were somewhere. They're like, hey, that dude's cool. Jonathan Ortega.
He was at Zealous games.
He was?
I've seen him around other semifinals too.
Hey, that's the best that's like the most like powerful profile picture I've ever seen. Like I know as soon as I see him come into the comments, I see him. I don't have to think twice.
Yeah, I think he's a photographer.
Yeah, he Jonathan Ortega. He drives a lowered Honda Accord.
El Camino.
2002. No, he's not there yet. That's his dream car. But soon. He drives a lowered Honda Accord.
I wanted to steal my
He has a
my
Kenwood
grandma's
stereo.
boyfriend El Camino so bad when I was younger. We used to just go over to my grandma's house, and she got this new boyfriend, and we're like, he just pulled up in this like lowrider El Camino. I was like, I'm gonna steal that from you.
What happened to it?
I don't know. I think they stopped dating, and then I never saw it again.
How come no coverage or recaps of the Down Under games? I don't know.
Because
did
Brian
you
only
see?
had 5 minutes.
Did you see their? I think we. Oh, you mean he? I mean, we talked about the Down Under games, but did you? I think they had one locked off camera the entire event. Down Under games YouTube. I watched their recaps. Videos. I can't even find Down Under games. Did they have 8 subscribers? What's it?
No, I don't know. I know they have an Instagram account, but I didn't try to watch it, honestly.
Down Under games YouTube. Maybe I have to put CrossFit. Down Under CrossFit. Down Under Championship. Oh,
They
that
covered
took
it?
me. No, that took me to. Oh, here it is. Okay. So here, I'll take you. This is the page. Oh, you can go here after you're done with the show. You can go watch this. 7 hours of this. Oh no, they had. Oh, they
The
had
whole production.
Yeah, they had production.
Will said it looks like they had a locked off camera for intermediate and masters, but
Oh yeah, the couple times I went and looked, it was I saw a locked off camera.
maybe
I
it'll be
don't know.
interesting if it's at 1.5 speed.
I'm fading. Caller, hi.
Hi, Sevan. Can you hear me? I'm walking my dog. I just want to make sure the audio isn't shit.
It's pretty shit, but we're at the end of the show. No one's listening anymore. Go ahead.
Okay. By the way, Peter Yozel calling from Boulder, Colorado.
Peter, hi.
Earlier, you guys were talking.
Peter from
Earlier, you
Boulder.
guys
I
were
bet you I
talking
know
about-
exactly what you're wearing. You're wearing pants that are too tight. You're skinny as shit, and you just finished. You have ultra marathon runner dreams, and your dog is a
No, I don't.
labradoodle,
Actually-
and with a custom collar that's made of hemp. And you make
That's very funny. You should have
$192,000
asked.
a year working at some fucking tech company that's falling apart.
I do not. That is a very funny observation because 99% of people here do look like that.
Thank you, sir.
But I grew up in Brazil. I've called a few times in the past, especially when we were talking about Pedro Martins during the games.
Okay.
But a little FYI for you, I coach. I'm a L3 CrossFit coach, and I coach at Eric Rosa's gym, CrossFit Sanitas in Boulder.
Whoop, whoop. Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, I've been here for a couple of years now.
You're saving people's lives. Thank you.
I appreciate the recognition. But what I'm calling about is earlier you were talking about not seeing many people live at the American semifinals. In comparison to in the past, we've seen a lot of people in the regionals format. I think one of the arguments for that is that we used to have teams of even up to 6 in regionals that were comprised mostly of affiliate members. And when you have 6 people from affiliates going to compete at a regional that is most likely close to where the affiliate is, maybe max a 2-hour drive, each of those people can bring up to like 5 other family members or affiliate members that want to go watch them.
Or if you're Justin Medeiros, you bring
great way to-
30.
Exactly. And my exposure in Brazil, another caller commented on the fact of having other divisions, like an open division for just amateur athletes and like scaled. Dude, in Brazil, those competitions, you get up to 20,000 people present because, like maybe 5,000 of them are there to compete, which is insane. You have so many different categories of all different levels with teams of like 3. You pack up the place, and the energy is crazy. So it's tough. I don't see in my affiliate any members talking about the athletes. Like we have close to 300 members at the affiliate, and I'd say like 200s have no idea who won the CrossFit Games last year, who was in the top 10. So we didn't have.
But
a
they knew who the
semifinals where
CEO
those
was. But they knew who the CEO was.
They did because he's in there
Right.
as a member a lot. So more by being around.
Don't ruin my joke.
and a lot
Please
of the
don't
people
ruin
we-
my joke. Don't ever contextualize my shit. Thank you.
A lot of the people we get in the gym to test out a class are there because they heard or they know that Eric Rosa owns the place. You know, they instantly connect that to a high position in CrossFit. It has nothing to do with the athletes. So I don't know what to do. What would be the best way to fix the regionals in terms of just getting people in the door, but maybe connecting with members to the athletes, you know, in a way where, like, look, if you keep training, you can get a lot fitter, maybe not like them. But I think that's the argument towards why we used to have a lot of people in regionals in the past, is because we had these huge teams that were connected to affiliates.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. In the other part, I think you said that was valuable too, is the proximity. Yeah, huge. It's not for the lack of them. That guy who put on those two events, Wilson Tang, I think that's his name. That it's not because he doesn't know how to put on an event. Those were fucking amazing events. Amazing events. So
Wilson Pack.
Sorry, racist Tang. Wilson Tang. Oh, that might be the other guy who works for Wilson. That might be the other Wilson who works at CrossFit HQ.
Wilson Pack did the semifinals, and
Justin
the
Berg
match-
as a right-hand man. It's Wilson. God, what's Wilson's last name?
it might not.
I probably shouldn't. I would just say this. I don't want to say anything too nice about Wilson because I don't want it to hurt his career. But there's a Wilson Tang that's an amazing guy that works at CrossFit HQ. All right.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
thank you.
that's the
Thank you
biggest
very
thing,
much. And
Yeah,
are you
of
gonna get your level 4?
Hell no, I'm not giving CrossFit any more money.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, bye, Sevan. Thanks for the response.
Okay, bye. Jeremy E. World, Tang is the shit you used to drink no, not that Tang. No, not Wilson Wanks either. No. And by the way, I don't agree with that at all. I think taking your level 4 is a brilliant idea. But what do you expect from a guy who works out at CrossFit Sanitas? All right. People at my gym don't give two shits about who the CEO is. No wonder shirt sales aren't at an all-time high. House of Spiegel calling it a night. All right. Caleb, thank you. Who do we have on tomorrow? Do we know? I haven't prepared. I'm getting anxious. Oh, Luke Parker.
Yes.
That'll be fun. Luke Parker, it sounds like he might be going individual this year. Yeah, Patrick Clark. He is a good dude. A crazy good dude. I always enjoyed working with them. Always, always, always. We know who the CEO is. Thank you. All right, guys. That's it. Have a good one.